Hello, fellow insomniacs. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Not sure. Welcome to another episode of Hey, I Can't Sleep with your host, J-Ro James. It's about just after 4 in the morning. Which brings us to the topic today, hypervigilance. Maybe you can't sleep because of hypervigilance. Maybe someone you know can't sleep without symptoms of hypervigilance. Hypervigilance, let's try that, being present. So I thought it would be important to do a show on it because it's one of the factors for some people who suffer from insomnia. So stay tuned and let's go on an adventure together. Hey, I can't sleep, won't you come and bitch with me? So grab yourself a tea and come and sit with me all night. Thank you, Sissy Psychosis, once again for that mellow intro to today's show. Meds are working, sweetheart. So, hypervigilance. Well, who do you think would be the best person to introduce us to the topic of hypervigilance? Well, no one other than a Zen daddy. Let's go see what he's up to. He's probably awake. He's always awake. Oh, sorry. In the middle of just doing some research. So, I've been asked by Jordan to talk a bit about a topic called hypervigilance. Just waking up myself. I actually got a little bit of sleep until, speaking of hypervigilance, some rats started to scratch at my walls around 4 in the morning. So, I've been awake as well. Hypervigilance. According to Brainworks neurotherapy.com, hypervigilance in trauma. A heightened state of awareness is part of the fight or flight response, resulting in a state of chronic hypervigilance. This state is akin to being locked into permanent battle stations, brain resources on constant alert, causing inappropriate or even aggressive reactions in everyday situations. Wow, that's a mouthful. I just like to throw things around. So, before we get into it, let's start with a little Zen. Maybe a little check-in. Oh, clearing the chi. These are great. Thank you to Terry Berry for talking a bit about singing bowls, saying how wonderful they were to relax to go to bed before. To use before bed, rather. Sorry. I've been up for a while, so I'm going to probably sound funny when I talk. Okay. So, hypervigilance is a chronic state of arousal. Not the good kind of arousal. It just means that sounds, situations, sensations are felt more intensely. So, for instance, a pan falls out of a cupboard. Some people might be a little frightened and be scared because it was a crash, but then, maybe within like a few minutes, they start, or seconds even, who knows, they're fine. They realize that was a pan falling out of a cupboard and there's no stress around it. Let's put some of that healing music back on. That was kind of nice. But for people like us who have post-traumatic stress disorder, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which I can talk about in another video, Hyperarousal and hypervigilance are symptoms where we're always on edge. And think about the exhaustion that can accompany your fight or flight system always being on. It makes us rather bitchy, grumpy. Sometimes we can over-respond to situations because we're overly aroused. Like, I can have a little road rage. I've gotten a lot better over the years, but if someone were to, let's say, cut me off in the past, I'd be so scared that they cut me off that would cause me to get really angry, and I would want to chase them with my car to let them know, hey, don't do that to me, because I was overly aroused. When it comes to sleeping, the same kind of thing. You could be in a chronic state of anxiety. Let's say that, maybe you were awoken in the night with something terrible or something stressful. You're sleeping. You're going to be in this level of sleep where you're not going to quite drop into the places that you need to go to. That's why it's important. In the last video where we talked about rumination, to find something that will help with that'll help lower that fight and flight response with some kind of, downer, I guess, of sorts, to bring down that sense of being hyper aroused all the time. So, yeah, things that work for me, like we talked about medications. Sometimes just accepting that your body's going to need a little bit of time to wind down, and also letting other people know, like, hey, don't scare me. Like me, I don't like to be frightened. I don't find haunted houses fun. Well, unless I'm going with a group of people and I'm on a hayride or something, that's fun. But I wouldn't walk into one of those Niagara Falls haunted houses and think to myself, this is a great time, because that feeling of being frightened isn't fun for me. Rides, roller coasters, Canada's Wonderland. You ever have that friend who likes to play laser tag, hold your coats, and go for funnel cake? Well, that's this guy right here. Because that sensation that rides can give me, it's overwhelming. It's too much sensory, which is what hypervigilance is kind of about. I mean, think about post-traumatic stress disorder in relation to military people, right? Constantly in a state of anxiety, wondering if you're going to die, if you're going to have to shoot someone, if you're going to have to run, and it's day after day after day of this. Eventually, your brain just gets wired to expect that something bad is going to happen, and we don't react to bad things with love and acceptance. We react with protectiveness, defensiveness. So we can even be in that state while we're supposed to be resting. So who out there suffers from hypervigilance? Are you comfortable talking about it? Are you comfortable talking about what you do to help yourself through it? Write in. Let's have a conversation. Until then, take care of each other, take care of yourself, and sleep on it, because it's probably going to be better in the morning. Take care and hang in there.